StarTropics, released in 1990 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's an action adventure game developed by Nintendo that follows a teenage baseball player, Mike Jones, as he travels to the tropical sea islands searching for his missing archaeologist uncle, Dr. Stephen Jones. Armed, and yes, it's Jones and an archaeologist. Armed at first with only a yo yo, Mike explores villages, caves, ruins, and labyrinth dungeons while uncovering an alien conspiracy threatening the islands. The game stood out on the NES for its colorful island setting, quirky humor, cinematic storytelling, and puzzle solving elements, including the famous moment where players had to dip a letter included with the game into water to reveal a secret code. Though never as popular as The Legend of Zelda, Star Tropics became a cult favorite thanks to its unique atmosphere, memorable music, and blend of exploration and action.
Mike
So,
Jones. Who? Mike Jones, if you understand that reference. But never mind. Never mind. It's Mike Jones. It's a very common name, and it's also the name of a Houston rapper. Anyways, and
ah,
hey, Stephen Jones, his uncle, is an archaeologist, and I put in my notes it was before Jurassic Park. So that's something. But I guess
after
dinosaurs.
Indiana Jones, though.
It was after Indiana Jones. That's true. That is true. I guess that was it, right? Like because everything is connected to some sort of like movie or film or we just talked about Zelda, like Zelda was named after F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife.
Hmm.
Um yeah, so
So, how did you like
anyways,
Star Tropics this week?
I'm gonna give a first impression sort of review on this one.
Uh huh.
It's got autosaves. That's cool. I think the soundtrack of this game is very nice, and I think it kind of moves the game forward in a way, and I enjoy the story and the sci-fi theme it was sort of going with. It felt very experimental, like it felt very much in a way where Nintendo was in 1990, just trying out just different sort of stories and IPs. Mike Jones having a yo-yo as a weapon, I think that's super cool. I don't know if they call it a yo-yo in the game. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
almost a prelude to Ness from, the Earthbound series having his yo yo.
well, you mentioned it. um, that's where my mind went. So overall, I played maybe a couple hours of it, so I didn't get too far. It seems like a very difficult game. It seemed like a game that is maybe unbalanced as far as like there's a lot of dialogue you have to get through. And yeah, even though there are autosaves, it does seem like it's pretty difficult. And from the reviews that I had read, it sounds like the difficulty gets cranked up a lot as you get towards the end of it. And overall, I got the feeling they did do one sequel, which was the second to last NES game released first party. It was released in March 1994. Was not did not sell very well, of course, but I think this one deserved to have a Super Nintendo sequel, much like how Earthbound was. Because I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, Earthbound on the NES, I don't have a lot of reasons to go back to that game outside of just the history of it. But Earthbound on Super Nintendo is phenomenal. I I think this game should have had a Super Nintendo sequel because
I agree.
I think they
That would
could
have been
have
awesome.
I think they could have done a lot to this whole sci-fi story, and I think the NES one is just for the 2 hours I played it, not balanced, too difficult, but it's hard for me to, and I want to go back to it, but I know that if I go back to it, I would have to just restart it all again. So that's where I am. Where are you with this game?
So I'm surprised that it's always compared to Zelda, which is why I put them on the same week or the same spot of the wheel. Um, because it reminded me more of we said Earthbound, but also Dragon Quest. It's more of a Dragon Quest game, which Dragon Quest does not get compared to Zelda much. So I don't know. I don't know why. Not every game with a top-down view is a
I
Zelda
think that's
clone.
it.
I don't know if Dragon Quest came out after this, so people made the comparison immediately back in the day and it just stuck or what. But yeah, not a very Zelda-like game, even though it keeps getting compared to Zelda. It's got a modern setting. It's not like a, weird fantasy sword and sorcery type game. So I don't know where that reputation comes from.
I think that's
I
it.
think it's got more. What's that?
I think it's top down. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's really it. So I'm glad I finally played it for the first time. I think I am going to come back and play this at some point, but not anytime soon. I say that a lot on the show. I ended up ranking it at number 88 on my list, so that puts it below Ghosts and Goblins on the NES and above Adventure of Link. So if I thought about the two, I do think this is a better game than Adventure of Link, but nah, they're kind of even because, like you said, the difficulty does spike towards a certain point. But this I feel like is a little more manageable. Adventure of Link, I kind of soldier through because it's a Zelda game. But if it weren't a Zelda game and I didn't have the nostalgia for it, probably wouldn't be doing that.
Oh, okay. Okay. I did mention that if you look at their Wikipedia page, under reception, the first review that's mentioned is from the Green Bay Press Gazette, which praised the game's graphics and sound, but considered it too similar to Legend of Zelda and deemed the gameplay dreadful. And
It's not.
but and I know Wikipedia is just whoever goes on there and writes the thing. And I was thinking perhaps that's the only initial review that they could find. But no, I linked in our notes that you can find um, Electronic Gaming Monthly. Um, they did a whole review on it, and you can still read it online today. So there's reviews from 1991 that exist of this game, but I thought that was funny.
Cool.
144 on my list. Uh, Not sure who I'd recommend it to. Not sure when I would come back to it, and if I did, I'd have to just restart it. Uh, but yeah, this is the part where listeners would leave comments of like if you had played this game in the past, where would you rank it? Now, I did mention that Zoda's Revenge, StarTropics 2, is the second to last first party NES game, came out March of 1994, which is crazy. Do you know what is the first was the sorry the last uh, Nintendo game that came out for NES? Do you know?
I've always heard that it's Wario's Woods. Is that true?
That's right. That is right.
All right. Yeah.
It is Wario's Woods,
I
which
think that came up when we did it on the spotlight.
I I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did when we reviewed it. So I guess Zoda's Revenge, Star Tropics 2 was the last first party game on NES that was only on the NES. And yeah, I imagine that it probably didn't sell that it was actually it was developed by Nintendo, but I imagine that not that many people were playing it at that point. Game Boy, Super Nintendo. I mean, it's less than 2 years before the N64 comes out. So just very, yeah, just very crazy